Hope you're doing fine. This is Yusra from DNA. So today we have a really special webinar with Fisher Technology. So as you might know, managing Sage 300 alongside with your e-commerce store, CRM system can drain time and resources. So today our webinar will be presented by Nicole Laurier, Fisher Technology CEO, a company built since 2006, also known as the North American distributor of codeless platforms. So today you will learn how to connect Sage 300 with Shopify and other tools, integrate Sage 300 with CRM for real-time customer visibility, automate repetitive tasks, speed up reporting, and also build a scalable, future-ready integration strategy. So that being said, let me hand it over to Nicole so that you can start your webinar.
Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning if you're in a different time zone. Thank you, Yusra, for the welcome, and thank you for having us an opportunity to introduce our BPA platform to your community. So let's start with a little bit of an introduction to BPA Platform. BPA Platform has been around for about 25 years. It comes out of the UK originally, as do I. You can probably hear it's not an American accent, although I am based in sunny Boca Raton. The tool is considered a tool set, and it is utilized so that it can integrate disparate business systems and automate data transfer. It can also do lots of different process automation. For those in the audience who are technical, the way that the software presents to you, it's very much a drag and drop. You don't need to be a heavy developer to be able to use it. You just set up the processes using all the tools within the software. Anyone who's technical on this call who wants a deeper dive technical overview, then please let Yusra or the DNA team know afterwards, and we can definitely set that up. So the capabilities are, of course, integration and automation, and it can be deployed over either cloud, hybrid, or on-premise. We'll get back into that a little bit later. I guess one of the things that we often say about BPA Platform, you can think of it like adding a virtual employee. It's always on duty. So let's talk about a little bit about what the way BPA Platform works. So it is a piece of middleware. So anybody who's not on the technical side really sees the results of what BPA Platform does. So what I mean by that is if you're working in Sage 300 and you're in the accounting system, you will be able to see if you've got an integration, and I'll use eCommerce in this example. If you've got an integration with your eCommerce, be it Shopify, great Canadian company, Magento, BigCommerce, whichever one, orders are placed in the eCommerce and then they go into BPA Platform. The way we set everything up, we have like a staging table, because the way that the data looks technically in BPA Platform is for e-commerce is different to the way it would present in Sage 300. So we do some magic in a staging database, and then we would push it into Sage 300. So anyone working in Sage 300 will just automatically see an order arriving, and what the kinds of thing, customer details, address, what item they've ordered, anything like that. So that's high level how a typical setup could be. There are other examples of the kind of things that we connect to, but I'll come back to that again a little bit later in this presentation. The other thing with BPA, as I mentioned in the previous slide, is that the way that it can be deployed. So it's very, very flexible. If your Sage 300 is on-premise, then we can deploy BPA on-premise in the same server that you've got your Sage 300. If you're in the cloud, and it doesn't matter whether it's a private cloud or a multi-tenant environment, again, BPA can be in that environment, or it can be hosted by your partner as an iPaaS in your case is DNA, it can have an iPass, so you just see the results and it all works in the background in their cloud. So that's just a high-level typical setup of BPA Platform. What I wanted to explain as well as part of this presentation is BPA, as I mentioned, is a tool set. So there's many, many different things you can do with it. And whereas that is a blessing, it can also be a little bit of a curse because there's so many things that sometimes you don't know where to start. So what the strategy has been the last number of years, I would say 7 or 8 years, is that we've started to create what we call templates. Now, a template isn't everything that you would need for an integration. A template is really sort of a starting place. So no company runs the same, and we know that, and no integration is identical either. And the beauty of BPA is that we can adapt to that sort of thing. But it is always good to have a starting point. So what I'm going to show you in a minute is a video of what we have created for Sage 300 and Creatio CRM as an example of the types of things that we can do. This particular template creates customer accounts and contacts. It also tracks and maintains sales orders, creating sales orders. It can monitor product stock levels. If levels are going low, someone can be notified. It also deals with things like product master data and pricing and price list. So that's just an indication of what this particular template does. Other templates might be similar. I mean, we have one for Salesforce and HubSpot, which are obviously both CRMs as well. And those we have similar sorts of processes. But if you need different things for your integration, then those can be added on as part of any project you might do. So what are the benefits of doing CRM integration? Well, you don't want to have to repetitively take data from one system to another. So you remove the repetitive data entry. You also give yourself improvements for sales forecasting and increase the ability to drive company revenue. And most importantly, eradicate manual data entry errors, which can cause upsets with customers, etc. So now I'm going to run this little video showing how you synchronize accounts and contacts from Creatio to Sage 300.
To begin, we will create a new account in Creatio. From the Sales homepage, we will open Accounts and click New. We will then populate this with example data and ensuring type is Customer and click Save. Let's open the account we just created. Under Account Sync Flag, we will select this checkbox. The Account Sync flag will be seen by BPA Platform so that it can be synchronized. By default, the ACSync flag option is unchecked to prevent accidental syncing of data. Next, we will populate the address and the contact information. Once complete, we will open the contact we just created and under Contact Sync Flag, click the checkbox and then click Save. We have now prepared the account and contact data we wish to synchronize to the staging database and Sage 300. We will now move over to BPA Platform, and here we have our set of templated tasks. These tasks normally run on a scheduled basis, but for this demonstration, we will queue the first task, Creatio, Get Accounts and Contacts. This task will copy any accounts and contacts that have been marked with the sync flag. Once complete, now let's find the synchronized account and contact in Sage 300. Firstly, we will go to AR Customers, Customers, and then click Search. We will locate the appropriate record and open it. Here we can see all the data that was entered in Creatio is now in Sage 300. A selection of various fields can be updated within the Sage or Creatio accounts and contacts that invoke an update in the respective system. We refer to this as bidirectional synchronization at field level. We can see the address details and contact details. In the Optional Fields tab, we have 3 fields that are used by BPA Platform. These are Account Sync Flag, CRM Account ID, and CRM Contact ID. Back in Creatio, at the record we created earlier, if we refresh the page, we can now see the ERP Contact ID has been synchronized from Sage 300 to Creatio. Now, if we open the account, we can see the ERP Account ID is here. This allows us to see the correlation between equivalent records in both Creatio and Sage 300.
I hope that little demonstration gave you a sense of the type of thing that you can do utilizing BPA Platform. So as I mentioned earlier, the BPA Platform is a piece of middleware and it literally sits in the middle. So we talked about CRM integration, but of course there's lots of other things that we can integrate with. Here is just some examples of the kind of things that we work with. We've talked about CRM, I've mentioned high-level e-commerce, but things like payment gateways, distribution, WMS, couriers, marketing, HubSpot, MailChimp, any of those is something that BPA Platform can integrate with. Because it's a middleware, as it can actually provide the gateway, if you like, to whatever you want to link with. So, for example, if you start with a Sage 300 integration with a CRM, and then you find that you want to move over and also do an integration with an e-commerce, you can use the same software platform to be able to do that integration. The product is multi-threaded, so more than one process can run at once, and you can have multiple different types of processes running at one time to give you the kind of integration needs you need, which makes it very expandable and obviously a little bit modular as well. We talked about the templates, and if there isn't a template, you can actually devise your own processes according to your business needs. The other thing that BPA Platform has, and the other benefit, is the number of connector tools to make these integrations easier. So in the Sage 300 world, we actually have a specific Sage 300 connector tool, which means that we can easily connect and see the data in there. And we have various other connector tools for either CRM, e-commerce, WMS, all sorts of different ones. But then you're going to say, well, what happens if what I'm trying to connect with doesn't have a connector tool? Well, the good news is that we have a generic web service connector tool, and that has the ability to connect to most, I wouldn't say every single one, but I would say the majority of REST or SOAP APIs. We'll come back a little later and talk about other ways that BPA can connect to data sources. But as you can see, we have a very versatile product. We are adding all new tools all the time, as well as our web service connector tool. We've got a SQL tool. For people who are using more legacy applications, we have both ODBC and OLEDB connectivity. And if you need to take data from a file, be it a CSV file or an XML import, BPA can do that as well. So quite a lot that we can do with the product. So this next slide, I wanted to kind of give you some example of what would be a business process. Each of these steps signal where automation can be utilized to remove manual intervention and repetitive data entry tasks. This isn't necessarily an actual flow, but just to give you the sort of idea of what can be done with a business process. So starting with an e-commerce order, coming into your ERP or your Sage 300, that order can then flow through to your warehouse management system if that's what you've got. If you don't have a warehouse management, it's going to go straight to shipping. Then it can go to the shipping carrier. Customers are then updated with the status of the order, and they can be notified many times along the way of where their order is. Money, if it's received with the e-commerce order, can then be reconciled because that information is already in your ERP, and so on and so on. The other thing that it can do is if an order has made the stock level low or got to a threshold that you have already sent, then what you can do is you can actually have a process that will say you need to order more stock, someone gets notified, and that process can run as well. So you can see that there's a lot that can be done by automating these business processes. So let's talk about e-commerce integration and the types of things that can be automated. All of these are sort of some typical examples of what customers request in terms of their automation and processes with e-commerce, but they're not the only things that we can do. And I really want to stress that, because with BPA Platform, provided the process can be done manually, then we can automate it. So just these examples, you can read them on the screen. I don't need to read them out to you, but I hope that gives you a good sense of the types of things. One other thing that we haven't really talked about during this presentation is that BPA Platform also has a capability of sending out alerts and notifications. So it works in a number of ways. From a technical side, if a process fails, then there can be a notification sent to somebody with the reason for the failure. That's kind of one way. The other way is if, I mentioned it with stock becomes low, somebody can get a notification that they need to order more. The nice thing with the alerts and notifications is that they can go to users who are outside of Sage 300, because not everybody will be working in Sage 300. So that's another benefit of BPA Platform. So moving on, let's talk a little bit about the benefits of automation. As everyone knows, there are so many different platforms, databases, services that corporations use in their daily lives. And a very big challenge can be that departments can end up working in silos. When you're working in silos, it's obviously very inefficient and things can get lost. by adding integration or automation. Those two words can be used very much transferably. You also hear about digital transformation. There are many, many benefits. So one of the benefits is that costs can be reduced. Taking time to enter data manually, obviously, is a lot slower than if it is something that is automated. It gives people who are in the past were doing tasks manually an opportunity to focus on other tasks. Things that the computer can't really do, things like making a decision for the business or being more creative. And it improves employee satisfaction when they're not having to do that manual data entry. Obviously, it's very easy if you are in a system and you are typing from one to another to make an error. So spelling mistakes, numbers being transposed, all those kind of things cause a lot of problems for businesses when they are having manual processes. When the data is automatically transferred between systems, that obviously goes away and provides lots of efficiencies. Also, productivity is improved. You're doing the same tasks quicker, but also reliably. So that is a definite advantage. And obviously, if all your systems are connected with integration, you know what is going on in everywhere in the company. You can make better decisions and get the right information for the right people at the right time. Plus, your data should be a lot cleaner if you are using automation / integration. Whoops, sorry. So what if there are many benefits, obviously, to automation for the company, but what about for your customers? Well, the benefits for customers are quite a lot as well, because if you think about it, you get reduced order fulfillment times. So when you've got a system that's working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, not taking a vacation, then things are going to run much more efficiently. So customers could receive their orders more quickly. And as well as that, customer services can be more efficient, giving customers what they want and what they need, because they can see an order as it's come in without having to log into multiple different systems. So that's definitely an advantage for customers. We all hope that our customers won't return goods, but if they do, if we make the process easy for the customer, then they're going to be happy and hopefully want to buy again. So that is a good thing for a business to be able to offer. Customer experience is key to everybody. If you have a good experience, hopefully you'll be referred, and also hopefully people will buy from you again. So if you give your customers a good journey through your system, then they will definitely want to buy again. And being able to let them know where an order is, better communications, automated communications, that is also another big benefit of automation for your customers, and hopefully reduce lead times as well on any deliveries. So the next slide that I kind of wanted to cover is, how do you know this is what that you need to automate your internal systems, or the types of processes that need to be integrate it. I guess if you are having any of the internal conversations listed here on this slide, these are the kinds of conversations that we hear when we speak to prospects about they need an integration automation. These are typical things that are their pain points, that they are looking to do this type of integration. So the data silos, the friction and bottlenecks, things not getting done in the same way for them. So those are the things that you should look out for, or maybe you're already having these internal conversations. And then you need to connect with DNA and find out how BPA Platform can help you. Little bit about the elements about how BPA Platform is licensed, just to give you a sense. I'm not going to go into any actual pricing. Whoops, I apologize for that. I don't know how I did that. I added a task. The software is sold as a subscription, and it is sold by a number of processes. And we looked at what a process looks like earlier, and you did actually see a task in our demonstration. So it's a number of tasks, and the entry is typically 25. And also with the 25 tasks, you get 2 connectors. So if you're working with your Sage 300, you'd get a connector to that, and then maybe one of our generic web service connector tool, or maybe one of the other connector tools that we have would come with that. And then the other element that comes up with BPA Platform, the costs you have to consider is obviously the implementation costs. And that really does depend project to project. And finally, we always want to know, is there going to be a good return on investment? It's not just saving time and money by automating things that you see a return of investment with the BPA Platform. What you could also see is the opportunity to cost. I mean, if you automate something, will it free up your team to be able to do something else? If you're in a compliance industry, if you had better audit trails, would that be beneficial for you, or so that you don't have any repercussions for not being compliant? And many other things. You know, would there be an impact if a code isn't entered correctly into an invoice so that it's not paid on time, and if it's paid late, maybe it causes cash flow problems. So these are just some examples of the way that the return of investment can be calculated in a number of ways. And that's kind of all I wanted to share with you. There's obviously a lot in BPA Platform, but perhaps at this juncture I'll be a little bit quiet, and maybe you want to pop any questions you may have in the chat.
Yes, Nicole, we do have a question. So how long does a typical BPA Platform installation take?
So that's a great question. It obviously depends what it is. Actually, installing and configuring the software doesn't take that long. But if you're looking at, say, an e-commerce integration project, you're probably looking at 2 to 3 months. The biggest part of the work really is when you are actually doing the discovery, understanding the business processes. That's really what takes a lot of the time, rather than the actual development of the processes. Sometimes it can be quicker. If it's one of our templates and they want the out-of-the-box functionality, then it could be as quick as 4 weeks. It just depends on the project.
Okay, great. We have a second question here. So there were a range of systems listed earlier that BPA Platform can connect to. So can you elaborate on how and if I can connect to other not listed?
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, we have a few ways of connecting. So we have our specific web connector tools. So for use Sage 300 as our example, we have a tool that is built that is specifically for Sage 300. Now, and that allows us to actually see all the data structure and connect more easily to do any kind of project. If we don't have a specific connector tool, the other ways that we can connect is we can use via API, our web service connector tool works with most REST or SOAP APIs. If we've never worked with it before, then what we would do is we can do a proof of concept just to make sure that we can get connectivity. The other ways we have SQL connectors and the more legacy systems, things like ODBC and OLEDB are ways to connect. And I think I also said in the presentation, if someone has a file that either CSV or XML, we can also extract data from that and do an integration.
Great. Thank you, Nicole. I think that was about it for the questions that I can see on my side.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for your time today. I hope that has been an informative presentation for you. Please reach out to DNA for any further information about BPA Platform.
Thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you, Yusra.